Hi, I'm Cameron.
And I'm Hayden.
And this is...
Until the End of Crime.
Hayden.
Yeah. What's up? Felt urgency.
Yeah, we've got about 3 seconds before the dogs lose their mind again. What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Jen and Nell, they just gave me a concert. Ruff, 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 ruff.
Well, Nellie's dead. This is Molly.
Oh, shit, that's right. Jenny and Molly. Jen and Mal. The real best concert I've ever been to was Beyonce's Lemonade Tour. That was easily number one. I went to the first night, the first date. It was in Houston at the Energy Stadium. And my friend Bo had gotten these really awesome tickets. And we were in the 11th row. Seating was optional because we were on the floor. So we had like fold-out chairs. And I was so close to Beyonce. It was absolutely crazy. And when she performed Freedom, she was out on the stage closest to us. And there was this kind of pool on the stage, and the water was flying everywhere, flinging on us. It was incredible. 10 out of 10. I loved it. It was amazing. Britney Spears was fine. I saw her at the Formula One racetrack, and it was fine. It's kind of a weird venue because everyone is just like standing in the grass.
Yeah.
And she was doing her best.
What year?
And 2018?
I'm about to commit a crime if this dog doesn't start keeping her little grumbles and growls and barks to herself.
Probably 2018, 2019. And then I also saw Taylor Swift live at the same Formula One racetrack, but the year before. And that year I went with my sister-in-law, Actually, I went with Jessica to Taylor Swift, and I went with Jessica to Beyonce. Well, Jessica went with me to Beyonce. But, well, I don't mean that shady. I just mean...
Necessary clarification.
Well, no, I'm just saying I had that extra concert ticket, and I was like, hey, do you want to go with me? And she was like, yes. So, and then I went with her to Taylor Swift. It was probably like within a year of Rihanna's This Is What You Came For came out, and maybe longer than a year, because at that event, Taylor talked about how she had written that song and had used a pseudonym to protect the ego of her then boyfriend, Calvin Harris, which I loved. I loved hearing that tidbit. And even though she had a cold, like, she put on her show. She sang the entire time. She sang live. It was fucking obvious she had a cold.
I saw Gavin DeGraw when he had, I think, laryngitis. This was before I knew that he was garbage, but...
Garbage DeGraw?
Yeah, I've seen him a few times. When you said Britney Spears, I was like, oh, I saw Britney. I saw her in Vegas, and there was actually a BuzzFeed article written about the show that I went to where they were saying that Britney had brought back almost like an old Britney energy for that show, and how it was almost like this reemergence of her, and I was like, that's really cool because I was at that show. Which that was like 2015. That was, peak childhood Cameron was waiting for the day that I would see Britney live. Right. And then, of course, I saw the Monster Ball tour twice, which that was great.
I also, before she became kind of a household name, me and my sister went with Jessica and Micah to see Maren Morris perform in Green, and she was incredible then, and then it was shortly after that she blew up. I've seen Sean Kingston in concert.
Saw the Backstreet Boys. Sean Kingston is a random one to throw in there.
So that's like because, I did student activities board when I was in college, and we had the spring concert every year. So I met and saw Sean Kingston. He had like no other song other than Beautiful Girls.
Yeah, he was out there shouting about being suicidal.
Yes, yeah. And then Thompson Square, which was cool for a minute. I think they did country. And then
like it.
Carmen, they kind of did like a cappella stuff, but like they had a couple of big hits. They were so nice. They were so nice. And I thought the man in Carmen, because it was a couple, and the woman from Carmen has now gone on to rebrand as Queen Herbie, and she does kind of like rap. And I think her husband is also still like musical support for her. But I thought her husband was so hot. And so when we got to meet them and do pictures, I was like, can I get one with each of you? And she was like, you think my husband is hot? And I was like, what? And she was like, no, it's okay. It's fine. He is hot. That's why I married him. And so...
That's why?
So I took pictures with each of them individually. And then God bless them for letting me do that and for her clocking my tea so fast. And then DJ Pauly D was our other musical guest. So I got to meet DJ Pauly D, and that was fucking weird.
Yeah?
Yeah, just, just different. I shouldn't say weird.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It was what it was.
So, have I been to any other concerts?
I don't know. You're saying all that, and I'm thinking of the ones that I've been to. I've seen Rush. I've seen Foreigner. I've seen Journey.
Ooh.
I don't know. I feel like they're slipping my mind.
You know who else I saw that was really awesome? Fun. They had that. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, I've seen Panic at the Disco. I've seen Fall Out Boy. I've seen Matchbox 20.
There you go.
I've seen Paramore. You're saying them, and then I'm thinking of something because Fun did a song with Panic at the Disco, and that unlocked the other part of my memory.
You know what's weird is I think that I saw Fun and Panic at the Disco at the same time because I think they were both performing at the same venue at the same time, and like the alternative press was there, so it was somewhere in San Antonio.
Gym Class Heroes. I saw them with Fall Out Boy. I lost $40 there. In
concert.
I went to an Avril Lavigne concert. Oh, I've seen Kelly Clarkson. I went to an Avril Lavigne concert once, but didn't stay for Avril because Gavin was the opening number.
That's crazy.
It wasn't me going. I was invited by somebody else, and my sister and I went with her, and it was a school night, so we couldn't really, it was in Houston, which is like a 2-hour drive, hour and a half drive. So we couldn't really stay all that late. And Ashley and I went to Kelly Clarkson. I think that was also on a school night, but we were juniors in high school. So, I guess that was fine. I feel like I'm going to remember more later, but...
It's definitely possible. It's easy to forget who you've seen, if you've seen a lot.
Well, my first concert was, of course, Backstreet Boys in the year 2000. We had a coworker. The first time we worked together, we had a coworker, and their favorite song was very unexpected.
Who the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I'll bleep it, but...
Oh, Jesus.
Do you remember this coworker's favorite song?
No. You
don't?
I don't think I ever knew it. Did I?
Oh, I can't imagine you not knowing this. Their favorite song is Enter Sandman by Metallica.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that. Oh, that's fucking wild, Cameron. Why are you bringing that up? Jesus Christ.
I am bringing it up because on October 17th, 2009, Metallica had a concert in Charlottesville, Virginia at the University of Virginia.
Their favorite song should have been Back That Ass Up.
Their favorite song was probably Let Me Block All of My Mentees Once They Leave.
That's so weird. I don't know why they hated us. Because we're lovely.
They didn't hate our other coworker who left at the same time as us.
Nope. I don't know. You know what? To be fair, we are a special flavor. We're not meant for everybody. Not everybody likes this. Not everybody likes us. That's okay.
Yeah. Story of my life, honestly.
Could have been professional jealousy. Probably. So.
Probably. In case the mic didn't pick that up the first time.
In case it didn't pick it up.
Okay, so a group of friends decided to attend this concert, and the four of them arrived together in 20-year-old Morgan Harrington's car.
What year was this?
2009.
Okay.
While the opening act was performing, Morgan told her friends that she was going to run to the restroom before Metallica's set began. She was having difficulty finding it, so she looked and searched and hunted for it and her search led her out of the arena. Obviously, there were toilets available within the arena, but she hadn't been able to find them. Unfortunately, the arena had a policy against exiting and re-entering, so Morgan was unable to return to the concert. It was said a few times that she was made explicitly aware that leaving the event would result in her not being permitted back in. So it is unclear why she would leave the venue. This Metallica concert was one she had been looking forward to. The ticket had been a gift from her dad, and she had stuck the ticket on the refrigerator 6 months ahead of time.
Okay.
Which, honestly, getting tickets to a concert 6 months ahead of time feels...
I think that's what you have to do.
Maybe.
If you don't want to have to pay the fucking prices that resellers charge.
Yeah, that's true. You know who I would love to see in concert?
Shakira?
The Spice Girls.
You know what? I should have known that.
You should have.
I should have absolutely known that. That's a shame.
That you didn't know it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's how excited she was about this concert and how much she was looking forward to it. She tried on 3 different outfits before settling on one where she sported a Pantera t-shirt and a mini skirt. By 8:48, her friends realized that she had not returned, and she'd been gone for more than half an hour by that time. So they called her, which was how they found out that she was not able to return to the arena, and she told them she would worry about getting herself home, that they didn't need to worry about her, even though she had driven and they had the key to her car.
Okay.
Well, maybe she hadn't driven, but they had come in her car, and they had the key. She had her purse, but they had the car key. There are some things in this that just don't make a ton of sense to me, and I have a theory that we can talk about it later. I think I have it in here, but I don't want to spend too much time speculating about what was going on, but I do have a theory that I mention. So after the concert was over, her friends were unable to get in touch with her. So they waited around the venue for hours after the masses had left, expecting Morgan to show back up at some point.
They waited for hours?
They waited for hours. Yeah, but she didn't show back up.
I think it's crazy that they fucking waited for hours.
I do too. They also went to some restaurant that they knew that she liked to see if maybe she had gone there, but she hadn't. This is, the middle of October in Virginia.
Also, people had cell phones in 2009.
She had a cell phone. They called her. That was how they found out that she couldn't re-enter the arena. But I'm assuming that they were trying to call her and it wasn't going through. They weren't getting in touch with her.
Okay.
Yeah. So the following day, her purse, which contained her ID, was found in a lot at the University of Virginia's athletic field, which was overflow parking for the event, for the concert. And somebody found the purse and turned it into the police, who called Morgan's father to let him know that they had found the purse. He thought this was unusual, but also thought maybe she just dropped the purse getting into or out of the car and hadn't realized it. And he assumed Morgan would be relieved to know it had been turned in. When Morgan's mom came home from church and he told her about this call, she immediately saw this as very concerning because Morgan was not back yet. So we're looking at 11 o'clock in the morning, maybe noon, late morning, and she still hadn't returned, but her purse had been found. So her mom got to work. She called all of the friends who had attended the concert with Morgan, and they told her that they hadn't seen her since she left to go to the bathroom and hadn't spoken to her since the phone call at just before 9 the night before. After her parents weren't able to make much sense of the prior night's events, Morgan's dad called the campus police, who took the call very seriously.
Okay.
Which, that means a lot.
Refreshing. Yeah, I just finished listening. To Your Own Backyard and Kristen Smart.
Yeah.
And that campus police didn't do a fucking thing. They were like, oh, call us back in another day. Call us back in another day. Call us back in another day. And then did nothing to try and catch the perpetrator. It was It was so bananas and bonkers. So it is so refreshing after spending, I think at this point I've listened to 13 episodes of that podcast, to hear that a campus police force took someone being missing seriously. Oh, did they not take it seriously? Is that why you're making that face?
I'm like...
Cameron's looking at me like I am still believing in Santa Claus.
Like clearly I still you didn't catch the sarcasm.
Oh, okay. Well,
I'm less than impressed with any campus police. You autistic. Oh, no. Okay, because my next sentence says, because university police are known for their stellar police work and their willingness to involve the police when a situation calls for it. Like when a person goes missing from a concert on their campus. What do? They call the police, right? That's what you would think, right? Instead, they did a search near the immediate area surrounding the event center, and they did find more evidence that indicated that something was amiss. Morgan's cell phone was found without the battery in it. So 2009 cell phones, yes, they were around, but also you hold that thing the wrong way and the battery falls out. The back comes off, the battery goes skittering across the ground.
I guess that's fair.
So at some point, I don't know when or how, because admittedly, this case was covered by a television program.
Program? Is that how they say it in the UK? Program?
No. I don't think that's the right dialect for the UK. I think that was a little bit more American.
Is that Southern? Program?
I think so.
Program.
And I'm not going to tell you the name of it, but I also couldn't... I'll have to explain later on how I got the information for most of this case. But the investigation into Morgan's disappearance moved on to security footage of the areas on and surrounding the campus. And from that, what they learn is nothing.
Good. Cool. Phenomenal.
Nothing on any of the footage indicated to them anything about what might have happened after Morgan got locked out of the arena. So they turned to the media and the public, asking anyone who had been in the area who might have seen Morgan or seen something curious happening to come forward and share that with the police. I don't know how or when the actual police were brought in and not just campus police. I would imagine that was brought about by her parents contacting the police, but I don't know.
Do regular police get to supersede campus police, or does campus police have to acquiesce and say, okay, we'll allow another police force to come in?
I don't know. I think that, like, the city police do... I mean, it is within their jurisdiction, right? I think that they do get... I think they take precedence, but I don't think that you start there if it is something that happened on a university campus. I think, like, I would imagine, and here I am, just making something up.
Just making shit up.
Yeah, honestly, I'm really good at it. You need me to just make things up?
You need me to make something up?
You give me a hypothetical, I'll just make up what it is. So here's...
You sure will. You sure will. A hypothetical hates to see you coming.
Oh, indeed. So I would imagine that professional courtesy would lead you to campus police before you go to actual police. No offense to anybody who works campus security, campus police.
No offense to any kind of police anywhere. Unless it's...
Honestly, you're probably going to be offended if you're listening to... We both already just shit on them. Campus police.
Whoa. I didn't shit on anybody.
You said that it was refreshing to hear that...
So what if they're poorly trained and don't know when to gauge and assess situations appropriately? That doesn't mean that they're no good. That's not taking a shit on them.
They also they do this thing, right? This thing where when crimes, especially sexual assaults, happen on their campuses, they don't want the bad fallout from that. So they dissuade people from pressing charges or... Yeah, so don't worry, Hayden. I can see the concern in your eyes, but don't worry. That does come back up.
Oh, God.
So you just rest your pretty little head.
I don't understand why law enforcement agencies get into pissing matches. I don't know who that serves. It's not the constituency. It's not the people who make up their, wow, I can't say consumer base, but it's not the citizenry that they're supposed to be protecting. So I don't understand how ego gets so in the way of conducting a thorough investigation.
This is not a rabbit hole that I can go down.
Well, sorry. And I'm just thinking, campus police, like, you're the fucking campus police. You have a designator. You have a qualifier. You are the police of a fucking campus. Now, granted, campuses are bigger than entire communities. That's true, right? So I can understand to a degree, but my God, just put your bullshit aside.
I've been hearing about wrongful convictions, and it's those that have the prosecutors that refuse to permit the evidence that might clear somebody that they got convicted. And I feel the exact same way about that. I'm like, this is just your ego. You don't want, you cannot imagine that you made a mistake, which if that's the case, I don't think that you should be in that position, because I would commend nothing more than somebody who said, you know what, if this person didn't do it, then the right thing to do is to make sure that they're not being punished for something that they didn't do. And then there's right
absolutely
thing.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry. You thing to do. Okay, I got it. The right thing to do is to make sure that you did put the right person away, because if you didn't put the right person away, other people are still in danger.
You're not protecting anybody. You know, it's
other than your ego.
Tell me, what is more fragile than a hyper-masculine male's ego? What is more fragile? What must we be more dainty with than the ego of a straight man who feels like he has to perform a level of masculinity? Nothing. Maybe
a woman who has had to put up with a bunch of bullshit and fight her way through that system that is typically dominated by these hypermasculine men. Like, I'm thinking of female prosecutors, where they get shit on just for being female, so then they have to put on this, like, tough persona. Not that they're necessary. I guess that doesn't really answer your question, but sometimes it is the female prosecutors are just as bad because of all the shit that they had to... I don't know. Wow. I think we're going to be really popular with campus security and prosecutors this episode.
I know, my God, I better never go back to school.
Online. You can go to online school. Do that again.
Good gravy. Anyways, we've digressed. Can you get us back on path?
By October 20th, people did start to come forward and reported seeing Morgan. Is it because the case was becoming more widespread, or is it because a $100,000 reward was offered for information leading to answers about where Morgan was? Or could it have been the additional $50,000 that Metallica contributed to the reward amount?
That was awfully nice of Metallica.
Mm-hmm. Metallica also made sure that their website asked the public for any videos from people who had been at the show that night, and just to contribute anything that might help bring answers to what happened to Morgan.
Okay, Metallica, that is amazing. Good for Metallica. Metallica's doing more than campus fucking police.
Yeah, well, they did search the area. They found her phone. So the public's reaction, now that the story was gaining national traction, it said that. I don't know that I fully believe that. We can talk about that later. But the public's reaction started to help paint the picture of that night. Morgan had been seen around 8:50 outside the ticket area. Over 100 people reported that she seemed to be disoriented, unsteady on her feet, which might explain how she would have been unable to find the restrooms and why she would have made the confusing decision to leave the arena, despite being aware that she would be denied re-entry if she did. It might also explain them seeing her fall. Her friends did acknowledge that Morgan had been drinking, but she was not drunk, according to their perception and calculation. and it is unclear if they felt like they needed to cover for her in some way.
Okay.
I think that this tidbit about her being so disoriented and unsteady on her feet that people saw her fall down. Mm-hmm. I think that sure, she may have been drinking, and maybe the alcohol hit her while she was gone on that trip to the bathroom or immediately before that. I'm kind of surprised that she went by herself. Mm-hmm. I'm hearing myself echo.
Oh.
And your bird.
Yeah, those fucking birds, man. Those birds are so loud.
So, I have been drunk before around people who knew me really well, and they're like, I could not tell that you were drunk. So, your bird has a lot to say about that.
I wish I could fucking control that fucking bird.
She was also a 20-year-old college student, so maybe there was more that they got into than drinking. I mean, maybe somebody slipped her something, or maybe she took pills or tried something else that would have contributed to her being so unsteady on her feet.
Could it also be that she was dehydrated?
It's possible. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Her friends, maybe they didn't realize that she was that drunk because they themselves were drunk. Or maybe they didn't realize that she was drunk because they had all eaten a meal that day and she hadn't eaten anything since breakfast. Or maybe, I mean, there are so many factors to this that we just can't possibly know.
No, and really and truly, when you're young, you don't typically have a strong understanding of your body's biological demands. Right. And so I think it's possible that she could have just been disoriented. Also, you're at a fucking Metallica concert, which I think I would find disorienting under any condition because I'm not used to that kind of music. Yeah. Now, obviously they were, but I feel like that probably entails a level of like, different musical components that I could find disorienting. And so that paired with potential dehydration, like you're saying, maybe not eating appropriately throughout the day, having been slipped something, that's not totally outside of the realm of possibility either. Or having done something else, it sounds to me like you may be inferring that her friends could potentially be scared to admit that they had done anything else. Like Molly, or even if they had just smoked a joint.
Yeah. Or maybe she did something and they didn't know about it. I mean, I don't know.
There's a lot of ifs in the equation at this point.
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, she had been seen reportedly and specifically on the Copley Street Bridge near the arena at 9:30 by two separate witnesses, where she was apparently attempting to hitchhike.
Okay.
And these were the last reported sightings of her.
That sounds odd. Do they think that she was trying to hitchhike? Is there anyone who's disputing that?
No, because I think if we're going to get into it, she probably had her thumb up, right? Because, why else would you assume somebody was trying to hitchhike?
Well, I just mean like in terms of, are these credible witnesses?
Well, two people reported it. Two people reported that. And she had told her friends who had her car key that she would find her own way home, that she would get herself home, to not worry about her.
And then 2009, she's like, I'm a hitchhike.
Again, she was very unsteady on her feet. So
that's okay. And I'm not casting judgment, right?
No.
I'm not judging. That sounds so suspect to me.
So I would have probably, and I can say this as a 36-year-old, that I can't imagine that I would have done this, but Morgan and I, she was born like 4 months after me. We're the same age. I was 20 in 2009. I can't imagine a situation in which I'm in Austin where I went to school, because she was born in Charlottesville, and that's where she was when she disappeared. And I was born in Austin, and that's where I went to school. And I just can't imagine a situation in which I would have ever tried to hitchhike or get somebody else to take me home.
Right.
I also wasn't really a drinker at that point in my life, though, at 20. So I definitely wouldn't have been intentionally inebriated. If I was unsteady on my feet, that would have definitely been somebody slipped something to me. So I don't know. I can't picture me doing something like that at her age, and I was her age at the same time that she was doing this. But that doesn't mean that drunkenly I might not stand on the side of the road with my thumb up thinking that that was an okay idea.
Absolutely. You know, we've all done stupid shit while we're drinking.
So investigators searched high and low for Morgan. Literally. Helicopters were sent to search from an aerial view to see if there was any sign of Morgan or clues that might help bring about answers surrounding the events of that night. But still, they turned up nothing. On November 22nd, 2009, 2 miles from the arena that held the Metallica concert, in bushes near an apartment building, a Black Pantera t-shirt was found by a student, and he knew when he found it that it matched the description of what Morgan was wearing the night she went missing. And so he called the police. Using forensic testing, it was confirmed that this was Morgan's shirt.
Okay. I hate what that suggests about what's happened to Morgan, but I like that it gets us closer to an answer.
By December 16th, 1 day shy of 2 months after Morgan was last seen or heard from, the search stopped. Morgan's parents, family, and friends were frustrated because they still had unanswered questions, and it felt like the police were giving up on Morgan.
Oh, they stopped and they didn't find what happened.
They stopped.
Oh my God. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like you were about to tell me they found who did it. DNA evidence from the shirt came back positive for a match that maybe... But no, you're saying they just fucking said, nah, we're done.
Yeah. So
you don't like to do unsolved cases. I don't imagine this is going to end unsolved.
So they continued to search on their own, and to make sure Morgan's name was being kept circulated in the media. A reporter from a local newspaper, Courtney Stewart, began her own investigation, reviewing the online witness reports and paying attention to what was being spread through the Charlottesville grapevine to see if she could make any sense of what happened to Morgan, or if anyone had anything more to add that might lead police to Morgan. She headed basically an organization of people who wanted to continue investigating Morgan's disappearance. And this kind of went nowhere. I say it went nowhere. There was a woman who came about from that who said that she had contacted the police in the days after Morgan went missing, saying that she had seen Morgan walking with 3 white men towards, I think, like a dorm. A dormitory. And she was very insistent that she's really good at faces and she knows that she saw this girl. The outfit that she described her wearing was not exactly what Morgan had been wearing, but the biggest discrepancy is that Morgan was wearing like stockings and this woman said she didn't have anything on her legs.
Okay.
And this was also at like 3 a.m. So several hours after she had last been seen. This woman was very insistent that she knew faces. She was good at recognizing faces that she had seen. Not great with names, but good with faces. The police didn't put a whole lot into it, but Courtney Stewart marched herself up to the dorm that this woman, or the apartment, I don't even know what it was. She marched herself up to the door.
She went to wherever this person in question was.
She knocked on the door. They were like, no. They said there was a wedding that was happening in the area that weekend, so maybe it was people who were from the wedding. I don't know. Look, it didn't go anywhere, and also, red herring. It doesn't have anything to do with this case.
That's super cool.
Yeah. So that was the only thing of note.
I'm proud of Courtney Stewart for following up and for taking on a case that the police had given up on. But my oh my.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's almost like the police just didn't have anything else to go on. Like,
calling a case cold after 2 months is crazy.
I don't think that the case was cold or closed by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't sending out resources days on end searching for this person who they had already searched for 2 months. I don't think that they were no longer working the case. I don't think that they were searching and they weren't sending out helicopters and anything like that anymore, but they were still working the case.
Okay.
So, But it felt to the family like they were saying that they were done. Well,
that's what it would feel like to me.
Right. I get it. It's very different when you're talking about people doing their job and protecting a community, and then my child is still missing. Unfortunately, the nature of the beast is that something's got to give.
That's true. That is true. And to be fair, police departments have all other kinds of things going on at the same time as any given crime.
Right.
And all people deserve to be protected. Mm-hmm. And it's such a catch-22. Where is it? We give cops a lot of shit. I mean, we do. And to be fair, would I be any better in that job? Probably not. Right?
I think I think the issue that I have is I think that a certain level of education and training should be required for required to be a cop. And I know that some do have education, but you don't have to have any sort of formal degree to be a police officer, to carry a gun, and to make snap decisions. And it's not even so much about the education, but what comes along with receiving an education is often open-mindedness, exposure to diversity in a way that you don't have if you
Elements of critical thinking.
Right. So I've said that before, but I said that like on my personal social media before. And I had somebody who I worked with at the time get really upset because their spouse was a police officer. And I'm like, I get it. Not all cops. I get it. But like enough of them that they would benefit. We would all benefit from there being more education required before we hand over guns and tell people that they're going to be in high stress situations where their life or the life of others may be put on the line. Hot take.
How dare you want to include sense and decision making for police forces? What is wrong with you? You're no kind of American anymore. You've just totally left behind your American values. Dirty UK scum. You redcoat. You fucking Yankee.
Nope, I'm not a Yankee. That's you.
You Yank.
No, actually, that's you. You're the Yank. You're the American.
You carpetbagger. You muckraker. You fucking yellow-bellied sapsucker. Who are you?
Who are you?
The way your face instantly when I said, you Yankee.
Yeah, because my grandma, my whole life, she said that whenever she would come back over here, that they would call her a Yank because her accent was a little bit more Americanized, but to an American ear, it sounded British. And so she was like in the middle. And I think now we've come full circle back to Maren Morris, if I'm not mistaken.
There it is. Whoop, there it is.
Shakalaka, shakalaka.
Stupid.
Shall I get back in?
Please do.
Okay.
Let's lock back in.
Another month went by, and on the 26th of January, a farmer in Albemarle County, Virginia, Albemarle, that comes back up, so can't wait, was checking the fences along the perimeter of his property, and he saw a deer carcass, so he hopped off the tractor and approached it, only to realize upon closer inspection that there was a human skull, and it was not a deer after all. So the police showed up at the farm, and in the meantime, the local media caught wind of this discovery and called Morgan's parents to tell them that a body had been found, and they believed it could be Morgan.
That's so rotten.
Yeah. Sometimes I have some thoughts sometimes about the media. They're always so eager to get
rotten.
Yeah, they're always so eager to get the first
breaking
story
news.
Or and it's like, okay, but we also have to be humans, maybe? maybe?
Yeah, this is literally someone's life. It's multiple people's lives.
Yeah. It turned out after they checked dental records that it was Morgan's remains. Morgan's body indicated she was killed violently because she had a fractured skull, arm, and rib. So it was clear that this case had now become a homicide investigation. The discovery of Morgan's body was devastating for her family, but they still needed answers about who had done this to her and why. Investigators were able to obtain forensic evidence from the site where Morgan had been discarded, and tests were run that hit on another case from September 2005. A woman in Fairfax County, Virginia, which I believe is about 200 miles from Charlottesville, or 2 hours. I don't know. There was a 2, and I didn't write it down.
Okay.
But a woman in Fairfax County, Virginia was abducted by a man as she was walking down the street. He grabbed her, and he raped her at a community pool. She fought her rapist, and he ultimately ran off when he heard someone approaching the area. But because she had defended herself, she had collected DNA that had been put into the system. It had not matched anyone at the time, and the first time there had been a match to it was Morgan's case. But the woman had also gotten a good look at the man and had worked with a sketch artist to create a composite sketch of him. The composite of this man was then attached to Morgan's case as well, and the FBI circulated it. And that was that. The community was concerned that Morgan's murderer might have been operating as a serial killer in Virginia, but unless someone recognized the composite or another DNA match linked someone to the profile left by Morgan's killer, there wasn't much that could be done. On September 13th, 2014, at 1:20 in the morning, 18-year-old University of Virginia student Hannah Graham texted her friends that she was lost while she attempted to locate the party that they were presumably. Sure.
Did you question yourself?
Yeah, because I say presumably, not presumably.
Assumably, who cares?
I do assume that that's where they were and that she was trying to meet them, but that's not exactly clear, so question mark. But she did end up at another party instead, but her friends didn't see her again after that. And it seemed very important to all of the coverage of this that you know that Hannah was born in Reading, England.
That is the most important part of what you're sharing with me.
Yeah. At 5, her family moved to the States. But let me tell you, she is British-born American student Hannah Graham. And I'm like, she's been in the States for 13 years. She's been in the States so long and at such a formative time of her life that she probably doesn't have an English accent.
Right.
Anyway. Also, Reading is spelled reading, which is fundamental and confusing. Okay. So 6 days, my coworkers from Reading. That's just a fun fact.
I'm glad you shared that with me.
Yeah, you're welcome. 6 days after Hannah was last seen, police reviewed surveillance footage and found evidence of Hannah leaving a bar with a man who they deemed a person of interest. They began to try to identify. This is going really well. They began to try to identify him in order to speak with him about that night. They identified him as 32-year-old Jesse Leroy Matthew Jr.
Jesse Leroy Matthew
Jr. I do believe he went by LJ.
Okay.
Which is not the order of letters I would guess when his initials are JL, but whatever.
Whatever.
I think, this is a guess, I think because his dad was the senior, that he maybe went by Leroy.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he became Leroy Jr. or LJ.
Yeah.
So anyway, the following days, police searched Jesse's home, I believe twice. And I think the second time they took with them some items of clothing, but never indicated what significance those items held.
Okay.
The surveillance footage of Hannah, paired with witness accounts, indicated that Hannah had been inebriated in some capacity. Witnesses at a restaurant that Hannah and Jesse had been seen together at said the man she was with did not look like a friendly fella, and that he had his arm around Hannah's shoulders, I think. And later, she was seen and overheard near his orange 1998 Chrysler Sebring, telling Jesse that she was not going to be getting into that car with him.
Good for Hannah.
Shortly after his apartment was searched, an arrest warrant was issued for Jesse Matthew for reckless driving.
Okay.
2 days after this, an additional warrant for abduction with intent to defile was issued. The following day, on September 24th, the Charlottesville chief of police, I want to say his surname was Longo, and the FBI jointly announced that Jesse had been arrested in Galveston County, Texas.
Oh, good. I'm glad he was down here.
Yeah, I mean, we were working together at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Down there. And then I remember how far Galveston actually is
so
from
far.
That area.
So far, like 4 hours away.
I know. Because in my mind, I was like, oh, that's like practically Corpus. And then I was like, no, it's not.
That's practically Three Rivers. That's practically Austin.
So, a week after Hannah disappeared, a volunteer search party of over 1,000 people scoured Charlottesville looking for any sign of her. On September 25th, the Charlottesville chief of police asked property owners in the Charlottesville area and the 9 surrounding counties to check their property for Hannah. This turned up nothing. So I'm just going to say the timeline of things gets a little bit muddled because they saw the surveillance. He's deemed a person of interest. They get warrants. They search his apartment. Then they put out a warrant for his arrest for reckless driving. Then after they've collected evidence or whatever, tested the evidence, he's fled in the meantime. They charge him with abduction. And then he's caught in Texas. And then they are doing the search. But I think because, I don't know, the dates started to not make a lot of sense to me.
Right.
So I've put in here the dates that I found, but it doesn't really make a ton of sense. I don't know. There are a lot of question marks here for me. But in the interim, testing had been concluded on evidence taken from Jesse's apartment, and it linked to the forensic evidence found in Morgan Harrington's murder case. Thus, a link was made between the two cases on September 29th, 2014. Technically 3 cases because there was the September 2005 sexual assault case as well. At this time, Morgan's parents spoke to the media and they pleaded for help in locating Hannah because they had been through the same experience. They had been victimized by presumably the same person.
Right.
And yeah, they were like, we have to find her. What are you fidgeting with?
My mouse. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Sorry. Well, hold on.
And listeners, you'll hear it too.
Sorry,
this
guys.
will be edited out, but the sound won't be.
Okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
With this link in evidence, on October 20th, Fairfax County indicted Jesse on attempted murder charges, as well as object sexual penetration and abduction with intent to defile for the case of the woman who was sexually assaulted in September 2005. Jesse pleaded not guilty in November 2014. Trials were postponed, and the trial began on June 8th, 2015. But 2 days later, Jesse abruptly entered an Alford plea and earned 3 life sentences for the Fairfax case. Just a reminder, an Alford plea is when they're not saying, I am guilty, I committed this crime. They're not taking ownership of the criminal activity, but they're saying that they understand that the state has enough evidence that they would likely be found guilty. And so it's not the same as no contest, but like kind of no contesty.
Okay.
So yeah, he earned 3 life sentences for that. 5 years to the day after Morgan's parents realized Morgan had not returned home, on October 18th, 2014, remains were discovered on a vacant property in Albemarle County. October 24th, the remains were positively identified as Hannah Graham's. December 4th, 2014, Jesse's attorney declined to request a bail amount be set for his client. February 10th, 2015, the Albemarle Commonwealth Attorney announced that Jesse was also being charged with the murder of Hannah Graham, in addition to the aforementioned charges of abduction. On May 5th, it was announced that the charges were being upgraded to capital murder, making this a death penalty eligible case, and the trial was set to begin on July 6th, 2016, which would be about 14 months after this announcement. But on March 2nd, 2016, in a move to avoid the death penalty, Jesse Matthew pleaded guilty and received an additional 4 life sentences for the abduction and murder of Hannah. Jesse had formerly been charged with the first-degree murder of Morgan on September 15th, 2015. He also had a charge of abduction with the intent to defile for that case. February 29th, 2016, it was announced by prosecutors that Jesse would be pleading guilty, which he did, and he received yet another 4 life sentences. That is 11 life sentences. I don't know if they're being served consecutively or concurrently.
I mean, what's the point of doing consecutively? I mean, concurrently. Let's just keep it going.
Yeah. I do prefer concurrent. It appears that Jesse Matthew was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in May 2019. In December 2020, he was moved to a state prison hospital that would be closer for him to... In May 2019, stage 4 colon cancer. He was then moved to a prison that was closer to where he would be able to get treatment. And then in December 2020, he was moved to a state prison hospital. But it seems that since then, he has returned to the regular prison. And as of May 2025, he is wasting oxygen in Red Onion State Prison, which is a supermax prison in Virginia. In other fun news,
stage 4 colon cancer?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's an aggressive cancer.
Very aggressive.
Mistaken. Yeah.
Okay.
And Virginia state dollars paid for his treatment. In other fun news, it seems that there were several instances in which Jesse was accused of sexual assault when he was younger. In a period that spanned 11 months, Jesse was accused at a college that he was enrolled at of sexual assault. So he abruptly left the college and enrolled at another college where he was accused of sexual assault. And so he abruptly, that's where it's abrupt and left, but together. Abruptly left that college as well. He played football. This is going great. I'm doing so well today.
Football.
This is wonderful.
Football's my favorite. Football.
This is what people come back every other week for.
This is what people pay the big bucks for. Those $2 Patreons.
They get these episodes without paying. They're not paying for that. They're just paying to help us produce this. Cases about football.
Which we love our Patreons. So
we do.
We love everybody,
but
right?
Especially.
But especially the patrons.
Okay. I didn't include all of this. Apparently, he also worked as a taxi driver at some point and was accused of sexual assault. It seems that he had worked as a patient technician in the operating rooms at UVA Medical. And it seems that in 2021, he was named in a civil suit against one of the colleges he attended where he was accused of sexual assault. That's because it involved a 15-year-old girl who was attending debate camp.
Oh.
Didn't expect that to come up here. And it is suggested that the college may have been making a habit of endangering people on their campus by allegedly sweeping incidents under the rug.
To whose benefit?
To the colleges, right? If they have a reputation of people being assaulted there, then people are going to not send their children to their college. So
make an example by getting rid of him.
Honestly, make an example of cracking down on this, not ignoring it. But he'd already left, right? He left abruptly. So, great.
Those idiots.
So this is one of those cases where someone is never held accountable legally for crimes they have committed or attempted to commit early on, and so other people end up paying the price for that. Which, unfortunately, the price in this instance means the lives of 2 young women who were just beginning to navigate young adult life. And their lives were taken. And then just a side note, or an after note, or a during note, I don't really know. I hate that there was not a ton of information about the girls, necessarily. They were both vibrant young women who ended up being targeted by someone with ill intentions, and I feel for their families and friends, and I feel for the family of Jesse Matthew because they're also grieving. His father seemed to be in denial about his son, his namesake's ability to be this violent, to kill people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the ripples of violence impact so many people, so many communities, and so many generations. So this was a little bit of a difficult one to get to for me because I was listening to another true crime podcast that was covering the murder of another young girl in Virginia. And there was a time where they thought that Jesse Matthew might have been responsible for that abduction and murder as well. But it was just kind of mentioned as there was another serial killer there was a serial killer operating in Virginia that they thought might be linked to it. And so I started looking into that, and then I came across Hannah Graham's case. And then as I started researching Hannah Graham's murder, it linked to Morgan Harrington's murder. And when I was reading about that, I was like, this case I'm familiar with because I had heard that case covered on another podcast, a podcast that covered Disappeared, the show. That's where Morgan's case was presented. In 2011, Disappeared did an episode over Morgan's disappearance and murder. Because at that time, there were no answers. There was just the composite sketch and the forensic evidence. And so then I was like, I'm hearing about this as like a side commentary on this other girl's murder. And I'm hearing about Morgan Harrington's murder, but I'm not really hearing anything about Hannah Graham's murder. And that was kind of the one that like blew the lid off of the case and was able to get this guy off the streets. And so I just wanted to, in some capacity, tell Hannah's story.
I'm glad that you did.
I couldn't access this is even crazy. I couldn't access the episode of Disappeared. So I had to listen to a podcast that recaps Disappeared to get that. I was like, but anyway, I did it. So here we are.
Like you said, I never love it when we don't get always necessarily a full picture of the victim or victims. Mm-hmm. And so with Morgan and Hannah, and do we have the name of the woman who was sexually assaulted by him?
No, because victims of sexual assault their identities are protected.
Okay.
But I hope that she's doing well.
Yes. To me, we know this because we do it every other week, and there is so much fanfare around the identity of the perpetrators and trying to understand, because it is fascinating. Why do people kill? Why do they sexually assault? What are these psychological abnormalities, these misformations that cause this kind of behavior? And the truth is, ultimately, at the end of the day, while that does matter a great deal, what matters more is that these women not only lost their lives, but that was typically preceded, and in this instance, I think probably both preceded, by some kind of ravage and damaging sexual assault. And so, again, the deepest and sincerest condolences to Morgan and Hannah's families, and also
all of the victims, because there were we're talking about this 15-year-old girl that was at debate camp. We're talking about the girls that were assaulted when they were just going to school at these 2 different campuses. Clearly there was a victimology.
Absolutely. I think you did an excellent job covering this case.
Thank you, friend. It was It was kind of just a rough one to do because it felt preventable.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, largely it sounds like it was.
Yeah. I will say I didn't get too much into it, but Morgan's parents were... I think that they took some solace from the fact that her case was able to link to Hannah's case and establish this. They felt like in some way that Morgan's death was able to help solve the crime perpetrated against Hannah. Mm-hmm. I think especially because once the evidence came back that matched the clothing taken from his apartment to Morgan's case, that then they knew who they were dealing with when they were searching for Hannah, and they probably knew in that moment that Hannah was probably not going to be found alive, like Morgan's family, but also Hannah's family. But yeah. Also, I just don't think that it helps when somebody is like 4 months younger than me and I'm telling the story of them doing things that are things that I did at that time. I want to say I went and saw Lady Gaga in, would it have been 2009? I think it was 2010, but like right around that time, right? So yeah.
Wild story.
Yeah.
That's all we've got for this episode. Thank you for listening.
Until the next crime.
If you enjoyed listening and want to hear more, please subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a review.
That's
if
5.
Leave a fucking
5 stars.
You better leave a goddamn review.
Please.
Tell us how we can improve.
Yeah. Give us the notes. We can take it.
Yeah. But like, please keep it 5 stars. Keep it cute. Keep it pushing.
If it wasn't for you, just move along.
Yeah.
Just carry on with your day.
1 star is wild.
Yeah. A complete list of sources can be found in the episode description.
Recommend us to a friend. And if you're able and willing to help us produce... You changed this.
I didn't. I just deleted one word right in front of you. From mine.
Recommend us to a friend. And if you are able and willing to help us produce this podcast, sign up for our Patreon.
You've changed this because you always say Patreon.
Keeping it fresh.
The link.
How dare you, football.
The link to joining our supportive bestie tier for only $2 a month is listed in the show notes. Also, make sure you're following us at End of Crime Pod on Instagram.
Our email address is endofcrimepod@gmail.com. So feel free to reach out with questions or episode suggestions.